Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randle here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are taking a look at the 1995 film Mortal Kombat. It stars Christopher Lambert, Robin Shaw, Lyndon Ashby, Kerry Tagawa, Bridget Wilson Sampras, and is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who also has many video game adaptations on his credit. The majority of the Resident Evil films, he also did Alien vs. Predator, and one of my personal dark favorite sci-fis, Event Horizon.
Yeah, this movie is about a group of humans that enter this fight to the death tournament in order to fight a sorcerer and his minions to save Earth from invasion, basically, pretty much. This movie cost $18 million to make and earned $122 million at the box office. It's a video game adaptation to a movie. It's actually the seventh highest video game to movie adaptation, earning wise. Critics gave this film mostly average reviews. Roger Ebert said that he was right there in the middle when it comes to this film. And like I mentioned, it's based on a very, very popular video game franchise. And this movie even led to a sequel. So, Randall, what do you think about this movie now and kind of its impact today?
I'm right there with Roger Ebert, kind of in the middle, but maybe leaning more towards positive, and that could be nostalgia. I generally enjoyed watching this film when I was younger, and I genuinely enjoyed most of my watching experience this time through as well. Now, there's definitely problems. It's a low budget film, but you know what? What stood out to me right off the get go is they did this film on a shoestring budget. 17 million bucks is just not that much, and they got a lot from it. The special effects, yes, the CGI stuff definitely does not age well at all. Like Reptile, for example. But the practical effects in this film, the Goro, that all went really, really well. I think that still looks pretty decent, all things considered, especially considering the budget.
Yeah, I think some of the Goro shots were pretty good, especially when they're like down at like the table and talking and stuff with Kano. Me, honestly, the best thing I like about this movie is the music. I think it's always been the music. I mean, we got like the soundtracks and stuff to this movie and the sequel movie too, and I think that's still my favorite part about this. The dialogue I don't think is the greatest in this film. I think sometimes they were just trying to fit in some of the voice lines from the video game as opposed to actually,
yes.
writing the story.
Especially with Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it was just like, hey, he says, show me your moves in the video game, or get over here. We got to put that in the movie.
Get over here!
Exactly. A lot of Johnny Cage, too, it was going on. Even though some of them weren't necessarily taken from the video game, some were just the stuff that he said earlier in his movie shoots. It's like, oh, we got to get that in, and during his fight scenes, hey, this is where you fall down, kind of thing.
This is where you fall down. This is where you fall down.
Come on, that joke pays off.
It is. That is something they invested in, but yeah, some of their characters were a little bit different. Sonya, I don't know that I really believe that she was like FBI or whatever, police investigator. She's kind of like going in the room and kind of doing like the hand motion, like sweeps or whatever, instead of like really looking into her corners or anything. So I don't know if that character is necessarily believable. But I think the big thing is this is based on a fighting game. So for good fighting, or for a movie based on a fighting game, you got to at least get the fighting right. And I think there's like a handful of fights that are really good. I like the Johnny Cage Scorpion fight. I thought that one was really good. Some of the ones with Sub-Zero were good too. The last fight with Shang Tsung and Liu Kang I thought was good too. Some of the other ones, they're kind of doing, kind of like shadow fighting, I think, a little bit. Just kind of like swiping at air going. But I think part of that might be that I'm not sure that all these actors actually have like a fighting background. So I think those scenes might have hurt a little bit. And then you get some of the other ones where you're like, yeah, these actors definitely have fighting backgrounds. And those made for good scenes.
So one of the things that I have noted, which I think is pretty important, is that this movie doesn't concern itself with telling the audience really what's going on in the background until very late. you get something from Katana's character explaining Outworld and the Emperor and the invasion and how the legitimacy and everything, and how her world fell because it lost 10 straight Mortal Kombats. But if you are a person who's pretty steeped in Mortal Kombat lore, if you know the games and you know the game story, this movie makes perfect sense. But it's all because you know it, because you already have all that supplemental knowledge, which is part of the reason why I don't like supplemental knowledge requirements for films. Because if you don't know it, like I watched this with my wife, and she does not know the story to Mortal Kombat. She does not know all of the backstories to the characters and why they act the way they do. These characters, like you had mentioned, just getting lines in, they act exactly like you expect them to. If you were a fan of the game, you're like, oh yeah, Johnny Cage is a movie star. He acts exactly like you're expecting him to. Raiden acts pretty much like you expect him to. From that perspective, success. From the other perspective, if you don't know anything about Mortal Kombat going in, this movie's probably just a kind of a pile to watch.
Yeah, with it being, so highly, earning and stuff, you might think that this is like this huge blockbuster film. It really is not. You almost got to treat it like I don't want to say made for like TV, but kind of like that. Oh, a B film. if you go with a B film and you kind of like, you know what you're gonna get with kind of like a B film. It's not that bad. But some of it just, some of it's nostalgia. I guess I haven't seen it in a while, so I kind of think I had such a higher view of it when I watched it when I was younger. And then I was watching now, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I don't know if that's necessarily what the movie is. I remember it much differently than what I see it now, kind of thing. Like, this is a little bit different of a movie.
There's one thing that I caught this time around that I really hadn't thought about too much in my previous watchings of the film, and there was one thing that's always bothered me that still bothers me immensely. So I'll start with the first one. At the beginning, this movie just throws you in. It doesn't concern itself with explaining very much, and you see all the recruiting of all of the different humans to the tournament. But I can't understand why Shang Tsung is doing recruiting on the behalf of Earth instead of like Raiden or somebody else. Why is he getting the best fighters from Earth to come fight? That's a terrible idea. He wants to win the tournament.
I pity you, sorcerer.
I caught that this time around. I thought, well, that is weird. I mean, I love the character and I love what they did with it. And I love the kind of like special effects, and you start to see that he's like a person who can take on the form of other people that he's killed or stolen their souls from. So I like that. But it makes no sense that he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, he recruited all of them. He killed Liu Kang's brother or whatever to get him in. I mean, he disguised himself as the agent or whatever to get Johnny Cage in. And he even got Kano or whatever to lure in Sonya Blade. So, yeah, it's kind of weird why he's the one that's like, yeah, I want these best fighters to come in the tournament to fight.
I don't understand. But the thing that bugs me, has always bugged me, continues to bug me, and I hate it. Sonya is a wasted character in this film. She gets one fight with Kano. It's short. It's not well choreographed. She's not a very good actress, unfortunately, for this film. At least not in this particular film. I don't know much for filmography past it.
What was that, Billy?
I said reading is good. Can we start the story now?
and that's it. And then she just turns into a standard issue DID. Like the full bore. What they do to her character is atrocious. They even make a joke of it. I swear to God, it must have been an ad lib where Johnny Cage looks at her and says, "Nice dress."
Nice dress.
Ugh.
Because someone in the art department was like, well, the script says that she's got to be changed into a skimpy outfit. She doesn't even have her shoes on anymore, for God's sakes. It has always bugged me what they did to Sonya Blade's character. Even when I was younger and watched it, I was like, man, she just doesn't get that much to do. And rewatching it, it's still infuriating.
And just like the interaction between Sonya Blade too and Johnny Cage through a lot of movie, like at the beginning, Sonya Blade was like, I don't care about you kind of thing. And then they have this kind of like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a moment before, they fight in the tournament kind of thing. They're looking at everything and they're like talking, and I don't know. She's kind of like talking about Johnny Cage, and Johnny Cage just kind of brings up this like, yeah, but I'm good looking kind of thing.
Oh, I can't believe this. You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yeah, well, you forgot good looking.
And it's like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Again, it is ridiculous, but the characters act exactly how you expect them to act from the video game,
Yeah,
and I can't complain
true.
about that. Like,
It's true.
I mean, take, for example, the director, Paul Anderson's other more well-known work, Resident Evil, and really, Jill Valentine doesn't act like, well, Resident Evil Apocalypse, or Resident Evil 2 where you get Jill Valentine, but she doesn't act like she acts in the games at all. She's just a bombastic babe, and she has this terrible, like, one-off line of,
Who the are you?
Or you get like Super Mario Brothers, when I don't think that has anything to do with the game.
So yeah, like, as a video game adaptation, I'm not entirely upset with this film, and I still have pretty nostalgic feelings for it. I don't think it's a good film. In fact, I know it's not a good film. But I like some of the interplay between the characters. I like some of the little back and forth, especially between Cage and Liu Kang early on.
You want me to carry your luggage?
Yeah, I pay money, you carry the bags. Or is that too complicated?
No. I get it.
Good.
Toss it in the ocean.
How complicated is it, you know? Like, and I laughed at that, and I didn't laugh because it was stupid. I laughed because it was funny. It was like, all right, he's being a kind of a dick, and Liu Kang is just like, oh, okay.
Because I believe they're trying to sail off from what was Hong Kong. Because that Sonya Blade was even like a police officer in Hong Kong. So it's kind of like Johnny Cage is out of his element there, just thinking like, oh well, you know, everyone here on this dock, you know, just I guess must work the dock kind of thing. And our
every
weird
Asian
pirate
here
ship.
on this dock must be working this dock. Yes, because all of these other people, like this famous boxer and me, and this you know, yeah.
Yeah, I recognize that boxer dude. I know that boxer dude.
You're Arlene, aren't you? Man, I saw you fight in London. You were great.
Thanks.
Well, you know what? Like I said, for me, I'm pretty okay with it. I'm not saying it's great. It's definitely not great, but it's a fun little watch. It's not very long, hour and 40 minutes. You know, if you're just looking for a kind of 90s martial art-ish movie, then it's okay. It's not Rush Hour.
I think if you're already a fan of the video games, you will get some things out of this movie that you enjoy, even though it might not be as gore-tastic as the game is at times, so you might be a little disappointed about that. Well, Randall, I want to know what you guys think about Mortal Kombat, the movie. Is it something you've seen? If you haven't, are you going to go check it out? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. If you like this review, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell to find out when our other videos are coming out. And check us out on Facebook. We'll let you know a day before when our next review is coming out. For now, I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone in the next one.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.